Back on the hill, more evidence from the Anglo-Saxon period's emerging.
Brace yourself for treasure. Ta-da!
Even I, as a Romanist, would recognise that as
Yep.
a significant object.
Absolutely. It may not be
Saxon
beautiful.
pinhead.
Yep, Middle Anglo-Saxon, 8th, 9th century. So
Yeah.
it fits in brilliantly with the shatter
Doesn't it?
and with the pottery that seems to be coming out of
Yeah.
the ditch, which is really tremendous. It's really
That's
exciting.
superb.
I mean, I know it's building castles in the air, but an Anglo-Saxon ditch, a Middle Anglo-Saxon ditch round an island,
Yeah.
it's beginning to look like, oh, could be a monastery.
There are now all sorts of theories running around the site that we may have discovered a significant centre of Anglo-Saxon religion.
Oh my goodness, what's that? What is that?
It's another wall, and it's butting against the wall of the kiln. Somebody's built a wall into the kiln.
My goodness.
And that wall was cut by the graves.
Oh gosh, that's an awful lot of strange happenings all at once.
Yep. They've created an apse, they've taken a circular structure and they've created an apsidal thing.
The thing that I immediately think of with an apsidal building is, at what date do they do this? Burials, apses, you know, it's all sounding awfully church-like.
Now, suggesting a bit of reused kiln is possibly part of an early church seems a theory too far to me. And in fact it probably is, but for the archaeologists, this isn't some bizarre leap of faith. We could be on the verge of discovering something really special.
I think this kiln is disused, stable, overgrown before these post holes are being put in. So post-Roman, and apart from Roman finds, the most common find on this site has been Middle Anglo-Saxon. So I would like them to be Middle Anglo-Saxon. And in fact, Ben and I have been hypothetically building religious houses out of them for a while.
Yes.
What do you think? Two different periods on one side.
Yeah, well, they're definitely post-Roman, like you say. The finds, the skellies, the ditch. You know, some sort of Middle Saxon community on this hilltop. And the local parallels for that are hermitages.
Is that just like a little hut where a hermit lives?
Yeah, kind of, a little sort of community. The interesting thing is we don't actually know what the sites look like because all the other sites grew into fantastic abbeys. So Crowland, Ely, Thorney, they all start off as hermitages and grow into big abbeys. So we just don't see the early stuff.
Hermits were effectively the first monks, and if this is a Middle Saxon hermitage, we've found something incredibly rare, because most hermitages now lie under some of Britain's most impressive abbeys and cathedrals.
We know that the way the early church was organised, that's what people did. They went and lived miles from anybody else, on retreat we'd call it today, wouldn't we? Sort of, you know, in isolation. And this sort of fits that same pattern.
So is it anything more than speculation to say there was a hermitage here?
No, it is speculation, but it fits the archaeological evidence for that period. So, you know, I'm reasonably confident that's what we've got.
If it is a hermitage, how important a site does it make it?
Well, every so often we do a programme and I think what we find, that'll go into the textbooks because it's a good example of this or a better example of that. And I think this is one of those, you know. You've got an enclosure from the geophysics, you've got Saxon pottery, you've got burials, you've got post-hole buildings. That's the sort of thing that's going to get mentioned in any discussion about this period or this topic. So I think it's one of those.
The only problem with the theory is that hermits demand isolation, and our work here has shown that in Roman times this hill was a busy industrial site. But the final work by Henry and Stuart shows that this landscape changed dramatically after the Romans left.
Yes, I mean what happens in the Saxon period is that the island actually acts as a bit of a dam for all the sediment that's being washed down the hill, and it all gets dropped in this area. You get alluvium. The water slows down, drops the material, it starts building up backwards, and it actually covers over the settlement, the area that Curry was digging over here. That's why you got that high depth of alluvium in that area. But what that does also, it sort of further isolates this island out here. It ceases to become part of the economy. There's no need for a settlement, as it were, out on this remote little island.
Oh, except by certain people.
Yeah, except by, you've got it.
Yes,
it
yes.
becomes an ideal location for a little monastic hermitage.
Absolutely.
It's
You're
got the
singing my
isolate-
song,
yeah.
you just like the Somerset level stuff I've been looking at, where every little island has got some crackpot old chap living on it, you know, as in retreat.
Sounds ideal for you, doesn't it?
Sounds absolutely ideal for me.
So this was once a small, isolated religious community.
Hello, my name's John Gator. Time Team is fan funded by Patreon. This vital support helps us to make new episodes. Joining Patreon gives you access to exclusive interviews, 3D models and masterclasses, plus lots more.